Is the Zach Wilson era over?
This was something I really did want to talk about this week. Probably something I don't want to say excited to talk about because it actually hurts me deeply.
Sad.
But I was interested to talk about it. I'll leave it at that. Because what about this season, if you're a Jets fan, probably stings the most is like, yeah, you had the bull hopes and everything that I won't even get into that's already obvious with Aaron Rodgers. But push that aside for a second. I think the cherry on top of the misery cherry, the shit cherry on top of this whole shit Sunday at this point is that not only is all that, but now Zach Wilson, the contingency, hopeful future you had, like, you know, what if we can Jordan Love him and, you know, type shit, and you can have a best case scenario, and after the Rodgers brings home the Lombardi and all said and done in the future, oh my God, now we have Zach Wilson to come out and redeem it. Like, that shit's dead. Like, that's where it really hurts, is because now that contingency for the future, on top of the beautiful vision you already had for yourself, it's just not existent, because this was definitely the universe saying out loud, Zach Wilson in New Jersey and the New York Jets, the whole meme, it's not a thing.
He definitely
like,
won't
Zach
start
Wilson
a game
and
again.
the Jets is not a thing. And that's where it really hurts, because the media over there, we already know how that is, where there's such a terrible relationship. There's like, it's unsalvageable. Like, it went from being where Zach had a future in New York, New Jersey, you get the memes. Now he has none of that. Like, now it's like, now where Zach's new home is going to be something to keep our eye on.
Well, also, it's just like, to say the Jets offense is bad is an understatement.
Dude, they're unwatchable. Like, it's like
really bad.
Because like you were saying last week, I actually want to bring this up. I mean, tell me if you feel the same way. It's really getting to the point where I'm starting to, I feel bad. I mean, like I'm with you where, no, I love football so much. Where it's like, no matter how bad a game is, I feel like I can stay tuned in.
Yeah.
But the Jets are really starting to push my boundary, where it's like, I actually really starting to struggle, like staying tuned into the Jets game. Like, I'll catch myself on my phone so much during the Jets game, and I'm like, dude, I can't be doing this, because I genuinely watch every game intently, but they are just so boring, like subconsciously, that I really do catch myself not even paying attention a lot, because it's so, not word boring is not right. It's actually not boring because I love football. It's so predictable garbage that it's not fun to watch. Like, you know exactly what's going to happen. Like, the Jets truly are at a point where you know exactly what's coming with the way they line up. You're like, we've seen this about 40 times over the last 2 weeks. We've seen this about 20 times today. Like, it's such predictable garbage at this point.
Well, also, you got to think about it like in this way, Dobbs. At some point, like, someone tweeted this, and I can't remember who it was, but they're like, at some point, this Jets defense is going to break. Like, they've been bending all year and keeping them in games. Like, at some point, they're going to break and be like, you know what? Like, we're doing all of this, putting our heart on the line, and it's like the offense can't produce a touchdown. Like,
that's what's so impressive about this defense, is because not only are they, like, it's been overstated. Like, we all know they're a dominant defense, but what I feel like hasn't been overstated is it's not just the fact of how good they are schematically and how talented they are. The effort level they bring, even when they are literally getting decimated because of how bad their offense is and they can't do anything, they still bring the fucking boom all game long. Like, I never once watched them and I'm like, yep, they're quiet quitting or they're giving up. Like, no, they are going to hit somebody as hard as they can, down 26, just because that's their identity and that's how they want to play football.
Yep.
Whereas that's what hurts you so much if you're a Jets fan, is it's like, if our offense could even literally revert about 15% of that same energy, we would be above 500 right now. But Nate Hackett and Zach Wilson as a tandem are the most incompetent offensive duo in history. I'm willing, that's one of my hot take of the day. That
worse than Russ and Nate Hackett?
Oh, no, this is so much worse. Because I feel like at least with the Russ, you could always, and we'll go back. I have to name your pulp some of these highlights over the last year, because I feel like there's at least plenty of redeemable moments now in hindsight where Russ really would save Hackett. Like, Russ every once in a while would dial up an audible to help something.
I think we're seeing that this year too.
Yeah, it's like, and that's the thing, Sean trusted him to do that shit. But then exactly with Nate Hackett this year, and you get a guy like Zach who has no idea really, but he's not comfortable enough in the offense. They don't have enough faith in him. He doesn't have faith in it. Like, you're seeing what happens when you don't have somebody who can do that. It takes a terrible offense that was already terrible, and it makes it literally the worst. Any Jets fan has ever seen.
Garrett Wilson's playing like garbage, and it's not his fault, but it's just the offense.
Worst game of his career for sure.
Breece Hall has been, even his running stats are not good. It's really receiving that,
because the O-line is so terrible too. Like,
horrible.
That's where I was saying, like, there's so many things where normally an offense would have something redeemable. If the pass game sucks, the O-line's fun to watch. If the O-line sucks, the quarterback's fun to watch. The receivers are fun. Like, they have right now nothing besides when Garrett Wilson wants to turn into an acrobat. which hasn't been happening because, to your point, like, where's the motivation on his end to go make a special play when they like, there's so much that goes into it psychologically. Like, why would everyone else be breaking their back when the offense can't produce a touchdown? Like, it doesn't add up.
So the Jets offense is dead. Another team in New York just fired their offensive coordinator, and it looked like they had a little bit of a spark this game. Who knows if it keeps up? You know how that shit goes. Usually after a game or two, it might fall off, but it definitely looked better.
It did, but I also want to, like, I'm going to be on the whole, like, you got to pick a side on this one.
Yeah.
I think I'm on the Ken Dorsey sympathizer side.
Same.
Because it's like, you watch the Bills this year and last year, and I think it's very easy to be like, this is like this weak narrative everybody's jumped onto. Is it's like, it's all Dable. It's all, look, I do think that, yes, to an extent, like, certain habits that get taken out innately when he left, you can see, and all these things. Like, I'm not saying that's not anything to do with Dable leaving, but it's just absolutely lazy to put all this on Ken Dorsey.
Yeah,
because Josh Allen wants to turn in to a fake blindfolded Mahomes every once in a while and, like, try to be a hero, or because the running backs can't hold on to the football, like, that it's Ken Dorsey's fault. Like, I just feel like that's lazy. Like, that's where it was a bit of, in my opinion, an incredibly lazy firing, because I feel like that this is, yes, it was a spark week, but it's also like, the Jets are so bad with no life that, yes, as amazing as their defense is, it's almost like you're gonna find a way to put up points eventually. And I feel like a few people were saying, this looked like a Ken Dorsey game to me. Like, this looked still like how the Ken Dorsey offense looked. It's just,
I think it was like a rah like type day.
Like,
yeah.
And I think too, it's not even talked about enough, because
I think Dorsey was the scapegoat.
He was, and that's what I'm about to get into next, where I want to hear your opinion on this, because I think psychologically, we're at a point where I think Stephon Diggs is really in everybody's head in that locker room.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to come out and say it, but he's almost like that family member that you rely on so heavily. It's like, I mean, if you're young kids, like, you rely on so, like, they do a ton for you.
You can't.
But at the same
anything.
time, they're like, really, sometimes they're making your life hard in some aspects, and you really want to speak up, but it's like nobody wants to, because you're like, well, I want to have this. Like, that's like Stephon Diggs in their locker room. Like, it's like,
it's an abusive home.
No, I mean, like, literally, they're at a point where they're like,
they
know they need to speak up. They want to speak up, but no, they don't want to make him step away even more than they feel like he already is. Like, it's a weird situation going on there psychologically.
Luckily, Kincaid has stepped up these last couple games, so it has allowed maybe to take the pressure off Diggs, especially with Shakir playing well too. But I know what you're saying. Like, that's a thing where it's like, if the Diggs thing explodes, it feels like everything could just go south for the Bills, and it's a shame because their defense have actually been playing pretty well.
Their defense has been the highlight, dare I say, this season, which is very weird, because not that they weren't a good unit before, but they went from being a good unit to, I'd say, a great unit.
Yeah.
But then it's like, yeah, that's the Bills thing has been this whole year, as you know, for me. Like, they just don't have much consistency.
Right.
Is this the start?
Right.
We're going to have to address this again next week, because I'm not with the Bills. I literally will not. Even if they do it 2 weeks in a row, I won't get hyped. It's going to take at least 3 or 4 in a row.
Yeah. Leonard Floyd's 2.5 sacks on the day, 9.5 on the season. Rasul Douglas, good addition at the deadline.
Like, I would say amazing. Like, that really might have been the trade of the trade deadline in terms of, like, value for another team. I mean, this man came in and has, like, immediately went from being like, yeah, he was helpful, we know, on the Packers, to like, oh my goodness, like, this man is out here as their number one corner. I mean,